r/AskReddit, what is the saddest fact you know that most people will not know? That second sentence hit me like a bus. The amount of tumors found in the average autopsy of elderly people is insane. How easily you can die for little to no reason. But a lot of those tumors are benign, which is why screening isn't always the answer. The human body is surprising in its resilience and fragility. The amount of abandoned pets that know they've been abandoned. Former shelter worker. Yup. I'll never forget the Great Dane who just kept watching the car park whilst I was desperately trying to get him adjusted to his pen. He was anxious, alone, and he was just waiting. And then he just shrunk back when he realized they aren't coming back. I miss the good days. I quit because of the bad days. A successful marriage ends with watching your spouse die. Or them watching you die. And then having to clear all their crap out of the garage. To quote Death Cab for Cutie, love is watching someone die. About a third of people with epilepsy don't respond to meds. There's this thing called SUDEP, too, which is sudden unexplained death in epilepsy, where a person goes to sleep and just dies. I'd say that's at least romantic. Until death do us part, and even in the afterlife he'll find you. I try to phrase it like that to make me feel better. Why did I click this first thing in the morning on a Monday? The family is left doing the cleanup after a suicide. Pangolins are believed to be the most illegally trafficked animal in the world. Their scales are sold on the black market for Asian traditional medicine. Your loved one didn't say any last words. Edit, for context, I worked in a nursing home. People always ask did they say anything, and the truth is, no. We obviously don't say that to the family, but death is not like in the movies. Also, a weird thing that happens sometimes is that 24h before death they get a sudden spike of energy. Which may look like they're getting better, so it confuses the family members sometimes. Also, 80% die alone. Working with old people broke me a little bit. Here's some info about the premortem surge. Link. In most major US cities, they measure euthanized animals by the ton. This hits different. Incredibly sad. The man who directed the rape of Nanjing, the brutal murders and tortures of hundreds of thousands of innocent civilians, Prince Yasuhiko Asaka, never saw justice. He grew old playing golf and died of natural causes at 93. The general who was also responsible, Yasuji Okamura, also ended up becoming a Kuomintang military advisor. My epilepsy isn't fully controlled by medication. Having a brain that is a ticking time bomb is infuriating. Stops you from doing so many things or makes you overly cautious. It just wears you down. One of major killers in either World War I or II, one can't remember which, was barbed wire, not guns or men, just barbed wire, because men would get caught in it and die, or get cut up, which would lead to lethal infections. World War I, World War II was much less static. It took my dog a couple years to realize he was here to stay. I was his 7th owner. I am his last. He was returned to the shelter multiple times for behavioral issues, and when he acted out he would immediately get depressed, thinking he was going back. Very good dog, very happy now, and has turned into quite an entitled princess. The recovery rate for eating disorders, and how emotionally damaging and ineffective eating disorder treatment often is. Isn't that why they call anorexia the 7-year disease? In 7 years you're either dead or in treatment. There is a species of extremely cute tiny porpoises with black banded circles around their eyes like a raccoon called vaquitas link. They are going to inevitably go extinct, poor little puppies of the sea and LT. Never heard of them before, hella cute animals though. Autistic people live, on average, 54 years. 58 years if they don't have developmental delay, 39 years if they do, and 54 years on average. They are something like 9 times as likely to commit suicide as non-autistic people, but they also die from accidents, lack of access to care due to lack of connectedness, or poverty, lack of someone to notice they aren't well, lack of people to help with anything at all, etc. Oh dear. When a man hangs himself he will often get a death boner. When their loved ones find their body, this will be one of their last memories of their loved one, alongside desperate scratches on the neck and on nearby walls. Don't do it. There are over 55 million people worldwide living with dementia in 2020. This number will almost double every 20 years, reaching 78 million in 2030 and 139 million in 2050. Much of the increase will be in developing countries. Already 60% of people with dementia live in low and middle income countries, but by 2050 this will rise to 71%. Edit, it also doesn't have an effective treatment. The Olympics is the biggest child sex trafficking event. Basically, as soon as a city is named as host, a task force targeting child sex trafficking starts at the same time. That is beyond fucked up. Is there a reason behind this or a connection I'm missing? What makes the Olympics such a high target for child trafficking? Genuinely curious. We are not the main character. I almost find it comforting. Absolutely. No one thinks about you as much as you think they do. Whales never die of old age. They just become too weak to surface for air and drown. Oldness is not a cause of death. People and animals in senescence pass due to attributable and specific causes, such as the failure of an organ system. If you are near a crematorium and smell fresh baked cake, it's not cake. It's something they put in with the body so it doesn't smell like burning flesh. That the chances of survival if you go into cardiac arrest outside of hospital is incredibly low. I think it's something like 20%, but maybe even lower. Even if someone is doing trained CPR. TV and movies have made us have this idea that you can just do a few chest compressions and the person wakes up. That very rarely happens. Usually you're just doing it long enough until a medical professional can come and take over, and then they still might not be able to do anything if they can't get a shockable rhythm going. Is there a known reason why it is going to increase so drastically? 10,000 children die a day of starvation. Around 330 million pounds of food is wasted in the US each day. Distribution is the issue, not production. People in their later years commit suicide more than younger people. Enslavement ended gradually in the state of New York from 1799 to 1848, freeing enslaved families one generation at a time over 3 generations. Parents were freed while their children remained enslaved for up to 28 years. I can't imagine being one of those parents. Heart disease causes the vast majority of deaths, at least in the US, and many people don't care about their physical condition one bit. Yeah, but the kind of lifestyle you need to prevent it requires discipline and sucks balls. Living is overrated TBH. If you have type 1 diabetes, it's very hard to do everything right to treat yourself. About 100 billion humans have ever lived. Of those 100 billion, only about 100,000 people are considered significant enough to be remembered after death. The astronauts likely survived the Challenger explosion. They were falling for nearly 3 minutes. For the vast majority of people, you will be completely forgotten within 5,100 years. And with it all the joys and sorrows of your life, your thoughts and dream, your hopes and worries. All of it completely forgotten as if it never existed in the first place. One person's sad fact is another person's comfort. 1 in 4 adults were sexually abused in childhood. Girls/women with intellectual disability are more likely to be sexually abused than not. Some of them had activated their emergency oxygen. Supposedly there are audio recordings of their last moments. There's a recording of the last cow bird singing before it went extinct. It was a mating call sung by a male bird. The song has breaks for the female bird to respond. There's no response because the male cow is the last of its kind. Among dog breeds, beagles are particularly friendly, sweet, and forgiving. That's why they're one of the most common breeds used for animal testing. Hello everyone. Thanks for sticking to the end of this video. I really appreciate it. I just wanted to humbly ask you to subscribe to the channel. According to my statistics, 100% of my viewers in the past 28 days are not subscribed. I have always wanted this channel to reach 1,000 subscribers, and if you want to support and be a part of that, subscribe. It's free and it's an awesome way to support the channel. Thanks again. Reddit glitch out.